Hey, I'm Decathlon Gamer, and welcome back to Pro Cycling Manager 2020. It's a women's tour, and we're on episode number 28. We're at some races. We've got a pretty sizable gap between where we're at on the calendar right now and when we have our next objective. And also, for me personally, it's kind of late in the day, just the day before this episode is supposed to go live. I was planning on filming both of my women's tour episodes today, and then as I went to start up, realized that, well, my calendar needed some needed some planning, and it took me over an hour to plan out the next couple months because we have an insane schedule this season. We went from very few races to a decent amount of races last season to a calendar this season that is just overloaded, and it is really, really hard to keep our riders from having too many days on the calendar, as most of them are already into the 30s or will be before the end of this period, and some of them into the 40s, and it's still quite early in the year to have that many days raced already. I mean, that's not a terrible season to have 30 to 40 days of racing in a year. That's not that bad if that's your year. But that's our midway point, not even halfway into the season point. So we've got our hands full. Well, anyway, that timing has put me on a bit of a constraint, and so this will be a shorter episode. Also, races that are going to be a little less on the important side. It's more exciting to get a few unimportant ones than it is to just simply have a scenario where we end up a whole episode on the planner. So it is what it is. Race day condition not looking so good. This is actually a youth race. Under 23s only permitted. Manenti Donatin, I think, is going to end up being one of our top riders for this with that +3 especially. Do we have anybody else? Del Sarto, even though she's a -2, is still easily one of our top riders. Is Manenti actually the next fastest? Or really, we only have two, and then Mamalenti's acceleration in the lead out will have to do. 117k to go, so we're already kind of pushing into the later stages here. In the not too distant future, though, it might still be a little time ahead of us. So a couple things. One, I have a business. Most of you know this. My wife and I have a family home daycare, meaning there's a daycare downstairs. It used to be on the channel where you could absolutely totally hear the kids on a very, very consistent basis. Now, if one kid decides to scream at the top of their lungs, or more commonly my wife and her teacher voice over them, even more so than our employee that we have, well, anyway, rare occasions you might hear something, but not very often anymore. I moved out of my office and into what is my living room, which is over top of the garage. The living room would be downstairs, but because of the daycare, it's here and in the same place that I'm in. It's worked much better since moving over here. Well, anyway, this was the first year that we had an employee. A whole can of worms that I opened on that. Tax code in the U.S. is rather complex, and there's a lot of things, a lot of reports, and a lot of crap to deal with, and I just recently dealt with that because the fourth quarter stuff was all due at the end of January, and then a lot of the yearly stuff also due at that same time, and so just fun stuff. Not so fun. Not so fun. But it's been a very, very, very busy handful of weeks. Oh, come on. Don't lose contact, please. Don't do it. Oh, you did it. Schmid, come on, before it's too late. Just, there you go.
The breakaway is not to everybody's liking. The peloton has significantly increased its speed.
Fix this now. Will you get back into your place? Probably not. Sarto does not need to be pushing that hard, but let's get back up there. Del Sarto's... Oh, come on. And we're back. As we now have a split, and that gap grew very, very quickly. And we've got to get there soon, because the climb itself, Del Sarto does not climb well enough. In fact, she's a terrible climber.
Another attack in the leading group.
Schmid, gel up, and then let's get Passerini to go back as well. Meanwhile, Momolenti, Donadin, turn up. Okay, Passerini going back. And Passerini, take over, please. Just follow. Minute 12 is the gap. They're not that far off.
Kilometers to the finish line.
I'm not sure how much good it's gonna do, but she's our best hope by far. So, okay, Schmid to take over for a moment. Do what she's
This
got
climb features some
to
dreadful
get us
percentages.
up there.
Falling behind. A team leader is falling behind.
Okay, make sure that these ones don't fall into trouble, so say 87. Del Sarto's probably going to be going solo as soon as we hit the top here. And I don't think she's going to make it. Passerini's not fast enough. Del Sarto. Del Sarto actually losing ground there at an 87. Okay, never mind. Manenti is done, and we're down to our final two, and this is the front of the field. So we've got two riders. Malenti is going to lead out.
The riders are closing on the
For a
last 8
second, I
kilometers of
thought
the stage,
Malenti was
which
going to
will
cost
most
us that
likely
thing.
end up in a mass sprint.
Alright, group of 21, only two here. It is down to a group of climbers. Donadin's not that bad, but a 69th sprint isn't great. We could have really used the help of Del Sarto for this
finish.
finish.
Is getting close. The riders just passed the 5 kilometers road sign.
Alright, Malenti, bring us clear. Sure, a lot of them are going to be pretty tired. And we'll start our sprint at just under 2K.
And the
There we
final
go.
sprint is off. Who's going to be the first to the line today?
1K banner. Well before the finish. Donadin gets a good head start, but faster riders are coming. But how well will she do?
He
I
really
think
had to
second.
fight for that
Oh,
one.
third.
A great sprint
Looked
finish.
like second, but okay, we'll take it. Podium. It's good. Bella Donadin grabs third place.
The tail enders are still coming in.
Malenti, after leading her out, gets 20th. Manenti was 30th. Del Sarto, very disappointing finish for her. Low resistance, terrible climber, just a sprinter. Makes a certain amount of sense that she wasn't good to go to the end, but would have hoped for a little more. We're at the Paleo del Risciotto, and for this one, A, it's pretty long. B, it's another youth race. C, we've got Vanderpeet and Donadin here for this one, getting some days in. But unfortunately, right at the beginning, there was a small breakaway, and then just as I went to settle down and speed things up, another group broke off the front, and suddenly we had 17 in the break.
They're moving along at a fair
I watched
lick.
very,
You
very
just gotta hang
closely
on.
to make sure that the break wasn't going to go out to a huge lead and go off and
The
win
rider
this
has
thing and
fallen,
finish
and
1
he's
through
not getting back
17
up. It
and
looks
us
like
fight
he'll
for
have to
18th
abandon the
and
race. A fall has
have no
just
reason
happened
to
in
be
the
here.
peloton. Several riders are on the ground.
Unfortunately, I quickly realized that that was going to be the case. There was no chase, and you can actually see I'm already
Withdrawal
splitting
of a
riders off
rider.
the back, which
They
is
seem to have
ridiculous
neither the energy
because,
nor the
well, we're
courage to
only
keep
going at
going.
a 70. The group
The riders are in a portion
did
of
have
about
a
10%.
4.5 minute gap. I cut it back pretty quickly so we can back off some. It is manageable now. But Passerini and Manenti are going to be sacrificing themselves in this pursuit of that breakaway because, like I said, they had it. They had it won. No team wanted to do any chasing. So today, it's us. All right, so the field has split again, and we're having a fairly exciting race on our hands. We've got a peloton of just 48. 17 are still away, but they're down to a minute 40. A couple other teams are now giving chase, 2 or 3 teams. They're realizing we're not going to let this thing go away, so they're starting to play some other tactics. And that's leading to a little bit of fatigue. Del Sarto struggling with the climb. Manenti and Passerini, of course, working at the front, starting to struggle. 7 riders off the back, at least at the moment. Groups are getting detached and then finding a way to get back in there, but we're seeing a short little concerted efforts. It looks like riders trying to get away and join the riders at the front. All right, we need to step this up. Del Sarto was dropped, but this group looks like they'll probably regain contact. They do for now. Front group is also starting to break up this time through. Still 75k to go. Passerini out of energy. I don't think Passerini's going to stay in the group much longer, and I think those that are getting dropped right now are probably going to be dropped on a permanent basis, including Del Sarto. I don't think Del Sarto is going to make it through this time. Might make it over the top, but might also lose contact. Still in for now. 18 at the front. Just a 1 minute gap. Seeing some yo-yoing here, but expect it'll come back together. We can't let this get away. Del Sarto's back in. Okay, go ahead and get water, Del Sarto. You're not going to make it to the end, even though you are our sprinter. This is not a sprint race today.
This climb is feared by many riders. The percentages are very high.
Nearly made contact with that front group. See how much that changes the landscape of the race when they're reeled back in. Del Sarto succeeding with her job.
This is the last third of the race. The team leaders have their minds fixed on today's goal.
Manenti's going to have to start pushing a little harder if we're going to catch that group. Next group of attacks. They're all trying to join that front group. They've pulled out a little bit more time. Manenti now doing the chasing. I think Manenti's going to need some help. Nope, there we go. Another team stepping in. I think maybe Del Sarto needs to be the other one. She's not going to be around a whole lot longer, so go ahead and push Chase hard for now. This flatter section coming up, it's a good time for her to get into that lead position. Front group is all breaking up, so we're slowly catching them one by one. Most of them are latching onto our group and then kind of staying in place, but there we go. Del Sarto now to the front. We've got the water, so we're good to go to the finish.
Some dreadful percentages.
That first climbing section, you can see Del Sarto, even with an 84, go straight back. She still has a little energy, but she just cannot climb. One last time, pulling at the front for her. And then that's it. She is done. She's going to go out the back. Also time to up the effort a little bit.
Another attack in the
Peloton's getting smaller. Manenti is not going to last long on this chase. Mama Lenti's going to have to take over. And there goes Manenti out the back. We now have a peloton of just 25 riders, but also just 3 riders left off the front. And that was the last hard climb. And it's just 17 riders chasing 3 with 30 kilometers to go. Donadin or Vanderpeet. Vanderpeet's a much slower sprinter, so we're going to protect Donadin.
They all managed to set off again.
Chase is on.
It's in such percentages that the strongest can create some gaps.
One of the last climbs, and we bring back some more riders and split some more riders off. And all of a sudden we have 15 chasing just 2. Mama Lenti is done, 18K. We've got a little uphill coming. This might be our best chance to actually break this race up. Let's try something. We're going to go for the win, not for just a high placement. "14 riders. Now it's just 1 rider left away. We're seeing another attack with Eckstein. And some riders getting split off.
Falling behind. A team leader is falling
Quite a
behind.
few, actually.
Only
Now it's
15
just
kilometers
6
left.
chasing 2 with 15 kilometers to go. And nobody else is prepared to do any work in this small group of 6. We want to do a lot of our time gains on the short little hills to come. And Vanderpeet's going to go pretty hard on the next one because this isn't going to be about the sprint. We need to catch them. 1 minute gap to that front rider. Okay, here we go. The climb. Okay, we're going to gel up for Donadin. Down to 44 seconds, and they come together. We drop another rider. On to Donadin. Now to the finish herself. Come on, Donadin. Leave this group behind. Bridge the gap. Bridge the gap.
There are just 5 kilometers left.
4.8K. Vanderpeet going solo. Donadin going solo. 3rd place, just 12 seconds behind. And they've got to be tired. on the descent is a really good time to make up some ground. Come on, come on, come on, come on, come on. Make contact. Make contact. 1.9k to go. And she does. She makes contact. 1.1k to go. Can she out-sprint them now to the finish? Donadin. She's going to fade right before the line. Oh, gosh. So close. Mouse is one of the ones we've been up against many times. X-Teen is the one we saw that the development team for Sunweb was absolutely on the attack. They were setting that up for a long, long time. Donadin bridged that gap so close. I think that was perfectly timed. It's got to be. I mean, you've got to go. You've got to get ahead of them. And we do that. And she fades in the final 10 meters. I mean, that close. You don't get closer than that. Unimportant race. Doesn't mean anything that we lost it. So, not worried about it. Not stressed about it. We get third. We get seventh. Good result. 5 meters away from winning this thing. If that line's 5 meters closer, it's a victory. You can't get any closer than that. It was fun. We tried. We nearly caught them. That was a big gap. We sacrificed most of the team. We sacrificed 4 riders just chasing. And actually, in the end, we sacrificed Vanderbeek as well. So we sacrificed 5 riders to bring back the final breakaway rider. Finally. Eventually. So we did everything we could. Look how close that was. Okay, maybe 15 meters is where she lost it. But it was only the last 5 meters where they passed her. That's going to do it for this episode, though. I know it was a short one. Sorry about that. But be sure to hit that like button. I'll see you next time. Have a good one. Be safe out there. And bye for now.